Cheating in the context of doping is very hard to estimate because we don't have exact numbers. We don't know, or it's hard to time tests and find the athletes when they have the highest concentration in their blood or urine of the banned substance. So some estimates suggest that the number of Olympic and elite level athletes who are engaging in banned illegal substance use on purpose is about 2%, up to a high of 8% by a recent German study that suggested that the incidence rate was actually higher. What this also doesn't take into account is the number of athletes who aren't competing at the Olympics because their home countries suspect that they might be taking performance-enhancing drugs. So if they failed an internal test, no country is going to take that athlete to the Games. At the most recent Olympics in Beijing in 2008, an estimate of 70 to 80 athletes were scratched from their competitions not long before the Games, that they were included on their nation's rosters and expected to compete, but didn't. And one view is that these athletes likely were known by their own Olympic committees, at the national level, to likely fail a drug test, and they didn't want to take the risk of having that athlete compete. So as a result, we don't see a lot of positive drug tests at the Olympic Games because some athletes who might test positive have been filtered out, and also those who are taking performance-enhancing drugs know what not to take. If you know that the testers have the technology to detect it, you're not going to take that substance. With an extended statute of limitations on the time a sample is valid, we might see more retroactive positive tests, because now a sample can be kept in the deep freezer for up to 8 years and retested. So winning a gold medal today means that it's not verified yours that you get to keep until 8 years from these Games. Up until that point, your test can be retested and found drugs that the testers didn't know how to test in Vancouver, but they might discover in the next 8 years. Usually, a first-time offense is going to be a 2-year ban, after that a lifetime ban, but we're seeing different perspectives by different countries regarding how they're trying to control their own athletes. What the Italian Olympic Committee is doing is quite novel for right now, that all Italian athletes competing in Vancouver, and I think it's 109 that they're bringing, have been required to sign a contract stating that if they test positive for a doping offense, they will be required to pay their federation, the Italian Olympic Committee, $140,000. So there's a significant financial implication for testing positive. This is the first country that we've seen take a stance towards this direction of not just an oath or a requirement to compete drug-free, but a financial complication added to that. Well, a problem with doping perspectives that countries and the World Anti-Doping Agency and the International Olympic Committee takes is that sometimes there is a lot of contradiction built in. That the IOC and WADA take a very firm stance against doping in the Olympics. Yet one of the most prominent torchbearers is Arnold Schwartzenegger, who is receiving the honor of carrying the torch through Stanley Park, one of the most prominent positions for a torch runner. With Schwarzenegger's acknowledged steroid history, we might say that there would have been many more suitable candidates to have this honor.